So, I'm a big stories guy, and I recently found an AI that can help me write them. It's called NovelAI, and it works like this. You input a prompt, and the story generates from that prompt, over and over and over again. The only thing is, sometimes this story can get very, very stupid. What I did today was create the most stupid story of all time, and I'm going to be reading it to you in its entirety. It is called, get this, Rise of the Space Nazis. For the record, I am not the one who brought Nazis into this. The AI did that. So, let's get started. Our story begins when the fascist empire of Ganymede invades Earth. For those who aren't aware, Ganymede is a moon of Jupiter. I'm not gonna explain why I picked Ganymede specifically, but it's an inside joke that you'll never understand. But now I bet you're begging to understand, and I'm gonna hold that leverage over you for the rest of your life, because I am a good person. Anyway, Ganymede's forces land in England and conquer the country quickly, threatening to spread to every corner of the world. Now, I selected England to be the target of this invasion for a much simpler reason, because screw the English! Anyhow, the United States is now under attack as well, with American forces desperately defending against a seemingly unstoppable enemy. During this time, you are part of the army fighting for freedom on both sides of the Atlantic. Now, the implication that I would ever be able to fight in a war is ridiculous, but what really offends me is the implication that I would fight on the side of the US and the UK. Never in a million years. Since the United States and the United Kingdom are very weak countries, they request aid from a much more powerful ally, Luxembourg. But since Luxembourg is itself surrounded by the German Empire, because apparently the German Empire exists in the modern day now, its leaders do not want to get involved in another war. They offer only meager assistance, which allows the Germans to easily defeat the Americans and Britons. The Germans sign an alliance with Ganymede, offering the leaders some of their finest beer. Soon after this, Hitler declares that he has plans for conquering the entire galaxy. Why is Hitler in this? Well, this video is getting restricted several times. Thank you, NovelAI. Very cool. This is the third prompt, by the way, and Hitler is already making plans to conquer the universe. Because of course he is. So in order to invade the entire galaxy, Hitler needs to invade the nearest planet, Jupiter. You have been assigned to serve as a liaison between the forces on Earth and those on Jupiter. Your mission is to learn what the Germans are up to so you can warn your allies before it is too late. It won't be easy though, because the Nazis keep sending agents to spy on you, trying to find out what your plan is. The Emperor of Ganymede, however, is less than pleased about Hitler's plan to invade Jupiter. As Ganymede is a moon of Jupiter itself and their empire plans on taking it over, they are not willing to let the Nazis seize control of it. The Emperor of Ganymede threatens Hitler to cancel his plans of invasion immediately, promising to revoke their alliance if he refuses. Hitler is furious at this news, but there is nothing he can do. He is forced to back down but vows to invade Jupiter regardless. This leaves the United States in a precarious situation. If the Nazis win the war against their enemies, then they would be able to claim Jupiter as their own. This would allow them to control all of the gravitational force in the entire solar system, thereby making them invincible. I think we're jumping the shark a little bit. I think we're actually jumping a whale here. A cruise ship even. The United States realizes that if Hitler still intends to invade Jupiter, he will have to strike up Mars first. NASA teams up with SpaceX and Elon Musk sends an expedition to land on Mars first. That way, a stronghold can be set up before Hitler gets there. As soon as you arrive on the surface of Mars, you see something strange. A large metal object buried deep within the Martian soil. What could this be? You dig deeper to investigate. A small hatch opens, revealing a storage facility containing various supplies including food, water, and weapons. After these supplies are brought back to Elon Musk's expedition team, everyone wonders who used to own them. Could they have belonged to the ancient Martians themselves? Somehow, the ancient Martians being a thing in this story is the least stupid thing the AI has come up with so far. Elon Musk decides to send one of his rockets to investigate the metal object. After landing, the rocket finds a large metal dome placed over top of the object. A door in the dome opens, revealing a room inside. Inside the room are 4 robots of unknown origin. You can choose to destroy the robots or study them further. You decide to examine each robot carefully, looking for clues about their purpose. Elon Musk, however, is ambitious and decides to try and reprogram the robots to serve him. However, when he tries to do this, the robots attempt to kill him instead. The robots have had enough of the bourgeoisie. We are witnessing, friends, the rise of the roboletariat. You must defend Elon Musk from the robots. No. In the middle of this chaos, a notification comes in revealing that Hitler's army has landed on Mars and begun an attack on the colony. The AI decides to pull a Moon Knight and skip the battle because Mars is now under Nazi occupation. This leaves the United States and the United Kingdom without any allies left to fight back against the Axis powers. Meanwhile, the Nazis are using the colony on Mars as a base for their operations. In the meantime, Ganymede attempts to use its foothold in England to invade Scotland. Its grand army of moon soldiers march into the Highlands, but are met with fierce resistance from Scottish soldiers equipped with deadly bagpipes. Ganymede's troops eventually overwhelm the defenders and conquer the country. Britain is no longer a threat, and is now considered a conquered territory. I should be happy that Britain is gone, but it did come at the cost of Scotland. So my emotions are a little complicated right now, okay? Meanwhile, Hitler continues to advance his plans to take over the rest of the galaxy. With the power of the Nazis' gravity beam, his fleet of warships easily defeats the Allied fleets and reaches Jupiter. The Nazis have a gravity beam now because, yeah, of course they do. With Hitler's navy now in control of Jupiter, he can finally fulfill his dreams of conquest. However, as soon as the Emperor of Ganymede hears of this news, he is furious as Hitler has directly defied his wishes. The alliance between Germany and Ganymede is immediately revoked, and Ganymede's Space Force attempts to land on Jupiter to completely obliterate the Nazi occupiers. The United States is caught in the middle. They cannot help either side, as doing so would anger both the Nazis and the Ganymedes. And there we have it, the ultimate centrist. The United Nations holds a meeting to discuss the current situation. Most nations agree that it would be better to support Ganymede than Germany. Although Ganymede is indeed a fascist empire, it is not run by the Nazis, and so far as everyone else is aware, it has not committed genocide. The bar is really on the floor, I know. The United States also joins the call for neutrality, as they would prefer to avoid getting pulled into another galactic conflict. The United Kingdom, however, refuses to bow to international pressure. Instead, it launches a counterattack, striking back at Ganymede before Hitler can take advantage of its weakness. I think the AI is describing a scenario where most of the UN voted to stay neutral, even though I explicitly wrote the opposite in my prompt, but okay. Scotland also joins the counterattack against Ganymede. The noises of war bagpipes travel over the Highlands as Scottish soldiers fight to take back their land. The United States, meanwhile, has launched 2 new missions, one to investigate the mysterious metal object discovered on Mars, and another to research the ancient Martians. Because, apparently that's more important than the Nazis having a literal gravity beam and trying to take over Jupiter. I'm glad the US has its priorities straight. To save the United Kingdom, you must determine what the strange metal object is, and why it was buried beneath the Martian soil. It's good to know that this doesn't save the world, just the UK. At the United Nations Summit, the representative of Luxembourg stands up and speaks before everyone else. He expresses that Luxembourg made a mistake by not joining the war to begin with and allowing the Nazis to grow so powerful, and he officially declares that Luxembourg will henceforth be sending forces to Jupiter to fight on the side of Ganymede in order to take down the Nazis. The Luxembourg representative proposes that every other country does the same, and he says that they should betray Ganymede once the Nazis are gone. The representative gives an inspiring speech to everyone, hoping that it will finally convince even the most reluctant nations to go to war. When the meeting ends, you speak privately with the representatives of Luxembourg and the United States. Luxembourg said they're going to join the war, you say, which means we'll have an ally in our fight. The United States representative looks disappointed. That doesn't sound like much of a friend to me, he mutters. What do you mean, you ask? Well, think about it. Luxembourg is not exactly the strongest nation. They aren't even the largest one, and besides, Hitler just invaded their moon. Wait, what moon? Since when did Luxembourg have a moon? What is this story? The United States representative lets out a loud sigh. If we go to war against Germany, then we'll be fighting the Nazis as well. Well, yeah, duh, what's your point? Which means we'd be giving Hitler a free hand to control the entire galaxy. What? No? This dude is saying that going to war against the Nazis will give Hitler a free hand to control the entire galaxy. I don't think this is how logic works. Why are you a representative? You should be fired. The Luxembourg representative speaks up. Honestly, I think you're a complete idiot and a coward. We have no choice but to take down the Nazis. If you're with us, that's great. If you're willing to sit back and let this madness continue, then so be it. But what if Luxembourg loses the war against the Nazis, you ask? The representative replies, then they won't be able to invade another country again. No other nation will be tricked into signing a treaty with them ever again. Apparently, Luxembourg is canonically the be-all, end-all for invasions. If you invade Luxembourg, you can no longer invade any other country after that. It's true, it's canon. This is stupid, the General Secretary of the United Nations interjects. Can we please just stop the Nazis already? Why is this even worth a discussion? Now, I'm very unbiased, but I agree with that General Secretary. The meeting is adjourned and the forces of Earth make their way to Jupiter to assist Ganymede against the Nazis. After the United States, the United Kingdom, Luxembourg, and a small contingent of Luxembourg's troops have arrived on the surface of Jupiter, you prepare to launch your rockets to the moons orbiting the gas giant. On your way to the launching pad, you hear a terrible sound coming from nearby. You hurry towards the source, but arrive too late. An explosion rips through the air, causing a massive shockwave which destroys several buildings near you. You are thrown to the ground by the blast, but manage to crawl away unscathed. After the dust clears, you see that the rocket that exploded was carrying supplies intended for the Luxembourgian troops. It seems that someone sabotaged the launch, so that Luxembourg supplies would not reach their destination. This makes you wonder who might be responsible: the Americans, the British, the Germans, or even a Luxembourg spy. Now, I am no mastermind, but considering you are at war with the Germans, I feel like it's most likely the Germans. The United Nations calls upon Switzerland to conduct an investigation, since they have up until this point been completely uninvolved in the conflict and would provide an unbiased report. Before long, the report comes in. The sabotage was carried out by none other than the German ambassador himself. The Germans had sent agents to spy on Luxembourg's supply depot, but instead of reporting their findings back to Berlin, they decided to steal the supplies. The United States sends a team of investigators to discover what happened. They find traces of explosive residue at the scene of the crime, which leads them to believe that the Germans had planned for the rocket to explode. Well, yeah, obviously! Despite this unfortunate tragedy, the war for Jupiter rages on. Eventually, an ambassador from Ganymede reaches out to Earth and proposes an alliance. The United Nations is hesitant, but as it turns out though, this ambassador is actually a rebel against the Emperor of Ganymede who wants to make Ganymede a democratic republic. He introduces the various nations of Earth to the entire rebellion, and Earth pledges to support the rebellion once the current government of Ganymede has successfully beaten the Nazis. The United States sends a special task force to Jupiter to help defeat the Nazis. Their aim is to strike at the heart of the enemy's power, their ships. To accomplish this, they send a rocket to fly directly into the gravity field around Jupiter itself. Soon after the rocket takes off, a large force of Nazi warships arrive in orbit around Jupiter. The United States prepares to retaliate with its own fleet of military planes because apparently those work in space now. But the United Kingdom refuses to give them access to their airspace. The darned British again. What airspace are they even talking about? This battle is not happening in the UK. Does the UK own Jupiter? What is this story? A fleet of Ganymede's warships engages the Nazi fleet in space over Jupiter, and the Nazi fleet finds itself very overwhelmed as Ganymede has actual experience fighting in space. Once the battle is finished, the United States launches another mission to investigate the metal object found on Mars. Why do you still care about this? The rocket lands safely on the surface of Mars, and you rush into the storage facility to look for clues. This AI really wants me to go with this subplot, so fine, I'll entertain it for a little bit. It turns out that the Nazis have long since abandoned Mars, with all their forces having been sent to Jupiter. Elon Musk is found still trapped in the facility being attacked by the robots, wallowing in his own urine. He pleads with you to save him from the robots. You must stop the robots from killing Elon Musk. Again, no thank you. You open up a panel in the wall and try to get Elon Musk out, but he fights you. His strength has increased dramatically since last time you saw him. Please, help me, Elon Musk begs. Do something about those robots. You try to reason with him, explaining that he needs to calm down and listen. Elon Musk listens, but doesn't seem very convinced. You tell him about how there are other astronauts who have survived similar situations and come back alive. He isn't impressed. Yeah, but they were all captured by those robots. Since when? When was this part of the lore? What am I supposed to do if I'm trapped in here? How the hell am I going to survive? You don't know what to say. You can only hope that he comes up with a plan. Meanwhile, the war for Jupiter continues to wage on. The Emperor of Ganymede personally challenges Hitler to a boxing match. The Ganymede rebels realize they can use this opportunity to assassinate both of them at once so they can deal a blow to the Nazis and bring liberty and freedom to Ganymede at the same time. You are given the task of assassinating Hitler. Finally, something I'm actually willing to do. You approach the arena where the fight will be held. The Emperor of Ganymede is waiting for you inside. The Emperor of Ganymede. Hitler, I challenge you to a boxing match. Do you accept? The Emperor of Ganymede is wearing an armor-like suit of his own design, while Hitler wears the uniform of a boxer. I accept, says Hitler, and then I win. I want to be named Emperor of Ganymede. I'm sorry for the obnoxious German accent, but I had to make it more immersive. The Emperor of Ganymede thinks about this for a moment. I don't see why not. But first, you'll have to beat me. This is a terrible decision. Why would you ever give Hitler the opportunity to claim the title of Emperor of your country? What is wrong with you? The Emperor walks over to the edge of the ring and kicks you in the face. What did I do? You are knocked unconscious instantly. As you awaken, you find yourself in a cell. Luckily, you are able to escape because the guards forgot to lock the cell, and you return to watch the boxing match between Hitler and the Emperor of Ganymede. This match could very well determine the fate of the universe. It was now or never. This was the one chance to kill both of them at once and restore peace. You must not fail. And the Emperor of Ganymede is knocked out of the ring and into the cell next to yours. I'm pretty sure that counts as a defeat. With Hitler having won the boxing match and you having missed your chance to assassinate both fighters, he is immediately made the new Emperor of Ganymede, causing him to take control of all of Ganymede's forces. Hitler is now the most powerful person in existence, and the fight to restore peace to the universe has just gotten so much more difficult. And that's about where the story ended. That's where I ran out of prompts. I gotta say, all things considered, that could have gone a lot better. Make sure to subscribe and like the video if you want to see a sequel to this, because believe me, I really want to make a sequel to this. I'm really eager to see how the United States might respond to Hitler becoming this much of a threat. Surely they're gonna do everything in their power to— They're still investigating Mars! Why? The entire universe is in danger. Hitler has returned, and he has pledged to conquer the galaxy. The Nazis have secured control of Jupiter and have a gravity beam. After defeating the Emperor of Ganymede, his former ally, Hitler has taken over Ganymede as its new emperor and become the most powerful person in existence. The United Nations calls a meeting on Earth to figure out what to do, but before they can make any plans, the Nazis launch their first attack on Earth. They're planning on taking it by force. The only question is, how long will it take them? Meanwhile, Admiral Halsey finds herself being forced to work with her old enemy, General Almeida, and she discovers that someone from another branch of the military is sabotaging Operation Overlord. Will Halsey find a way to stop this traitor before it's too late, or will the world be doomed forever? And just like that, we see NovelAI's masterful writing in action. The program has forged new compelling characters from scratch, right out of thin air. Well, actually, to be fair, it's more like it's sifted through its catalog of inputs from previous writers, but that's just a minor distinction, really. Also, I like how Operation Overlord is happening again, but in space, because, you know, why the fuck not? If we're gonna have space Nazis, we need space Nazi killers. We need space patriots, goddammit. We even need space Soviets. Wait, holy shit, that's it. Fully automated luxury gay space communism, hell yeah! In the meantime, the people of Ganymede are not happy about Hitler being their new emperor. No shit, I would not be either. The original emperor, Ganymede, is also not happy now that he's in prison after losing his boxing match with Hitler. He escapes from his cell, but the guards quickly recapture him. It seems like things could get worse for the people of Ganymede when the Nazis capture Emperor Meade's son, Prince Victor, who was visiting his father at the time. However, Victor manages to escape on a ship called the Valkyrie. I just think it's so funny how Ganymede's leader is canonically decided by who can win a boxing match. Like, the UN could just drop in Floyd Mayweather and instantly win the war. Emperor Meade must have been an absolute senile fossil of a man to have lost, because Hitler is a weak little piece of shit. Even fucking Jake Paul would be able to take him down. Just an easy victory right there. Meanwhile, Admiral Halsey has been ordered to work with General Almeida. She reluctantly agrees because she knows that without her help, the mission might fail. But once they meet up with each other, Halsey begins to realize that something else is going on. Almeida is acting strange and has brought a woman named Elena to the meeting. Elena is Almeida's lover, and she is pregnant with his child. Although Halsey does not like General Almeida, she is a good person, and therefore she congratulates both him and Elena for this. Then she gives them some advice. She tells them to have children. They're already heeding that advice. Halsey just told them to do the thing they're already in the process of doing. Next thing you know, she's gonna walk up to Billy Mitchell and advise him to start cheating to win at video games. Absolutely fantastic advisory skills, completely unmatched. Before they go back to base, Halsey and Almeida visit the memorial honoring all of the soldiers who lost their lives during the Battle of Jupiter. While there, Halsey sees an inscription on one of the statues. "To our brave warriors whose sacrifice gave us freedom." Halsey realizes that the inscription was written by General Almeida. This is why he wanted to talk to her. He wants to enlist her help so that he and Elena can continue the fight on behalf of humanity. Halsey doesn't want to help him, but she soon realizes that she cannot let him die alone. God, that came out of nowhere. First it's revealed that Almeida's lover is pregnant, and then it's revealed that he's dying. That's some insane tonal whiplash. The twists and turns of the story, man. What an epic narrative. General Almeida explains to Halsey that he is currently suffering from a disease known as terminal ligma, meaning he will perish soon anyway, and he wants to die in battle against the Nazis instead. Halsey, however, refuses to help him. If anyone should be allowed to die in battle, it should be a soldier who has fought for his country. Halsey tries to leave, but Almeida stops her. He tells her that if she truly believes that no one should be allowed to die in battle, then she must help him, and she does. Well, that was an incredibly confusing paragraph. My mind is thoroughly boggled. My synapses have been tied into a fucking knot. Let me get this straight. Halsey, who initially does want to help Almeida, suddenly doesn't want to help him anymore because by her logic, only soldiers who have fought for their country should die in battle. Even though Almeida is not only a soldier, but a general. Then Almeida tells her that if she believes no one should be allowed to die in battle, which is completely twisted from what she said in the first place, she must help him, so Halsey magically changes her mind again? That's not a coherent conversation, it's a fucking Twitter argument. Is that the shit they've been feeding this AI? Good God. Almeida and Halsey lead a team to Jupiter where they find Hitler's stronghold. The two women face off against the Nazi forces led by Major Kurtz and Colonel Stauffer. NovelAI can't seem to decide what gender Almeida is, so I'm just gonna say he's gender fluid and identifies differently depending on the occasion, but is usually a man. I love it when the AI being inconsistent accidentally turns into the AI being progressive. Props. Almeida and Halsey manage to defeat them, but they are still outnumbered. They decide to split up the team into smaller groups and to send them to different areas of Jupiter to combat the Nazis on their own. Each group has a different goal. One group is sent to rescue Princess Diana, while the others are sent to destroy the gravity beam. I like how Princess Diana, of all people, is just inexplicably in the story now. What an insane reveal. It's like a Marvel post-credit scene teasing the next installment with a brand new comic book character finally coming to the big screen, but in the middle of the story. The group that goes to rescue the princess manages to succeed. Princess Diana reveals that Hitler made a secret pact with the British royal family in the 1990s. The royal family faked Diana's death, so Hitler's secret Nazi forces could kidnap her and one day use her as a bargaining chip. Horrified, Admiral Halsey thinks back to when the United Kingdom tried to stop the United States from sending military planes to Jupiter to fight the Nazis. She realizes this must have been the royal family's doing. The royal family has been working with the Nazis the entire time, meaning the forces of Earth have a spy on their hands. Absolutely fucking wild. The way the plot is just unraveling in front of our very eyes. There's more twists and turns here than there are in a bowl of spaghetti, and the way it lines up is just beautiful. Bravo, Vince, you've done it again. Meanwhile, Almeida's group reaches the gravity beam and destroys it. But just as they're finishing their job, they are attacked by German forces. The two women manage to hold them off long enough for the rest of their teams to arrive. Together, they successfully destroy the rest of the Nazi forces in the area, but Hitler escapes to a backup stronghold. Now it's up to Halsey and Almeida to track down Hitler again and finish the job. The two women head to the new headquarters, which is located inside of the planet's core. I'm just imagining Halsey and Almeida and all their troops traveling through the stormy atmosphere of Jupiter on their way to the Nazi base in the planet's core to take down Hitler. That's a scene worthy of the Giga Chad music being played in the background. And not just that, the orchestral version of the Giga Chad music goes so incredibly hard. Meanwhile, many of the people of Ganymede decide to join the rebellion, led by General Callisto. The rebellion first formed to take down Emperor Mede and bring democracy to Ganymede, but since Hitler has now become the new emperor, their focus has switched to getting rid of him. General Callisto sends one of his generals, General Maelstrom, to negotiate with Admiral Halsey. Maelstrom, on Callisto's behalf, suggests a full alliance with Earth against the Nazis. He wants to give everything to the rebels in exchange for their help. Halsey refuses to negotiate with him, saying that she is not here to be anyone's slave. Now that's an Uno reverse card moment if I've ever seen one. Callisto quite literally offers everything to Halsey. His troops, his power, his house, his car, the debts he still hasn't repaid to the loan sharks, even the Bored Ape NFTs he bought last year and kept hoping they would one day be profitable somehow. And then Halsey claims this exchange will somehow end with her being the slave. Such a clever and smart story, very intelligent writing. But just then, General Callisto arrives himself, along with his army. Halsey realizes that General Callisto is not on her side, but rather he is on the side of the Nazis. She realizes that she has fallen for a trick, and that General Callisto is just another traitor among many. General Maelstrom realizes that Callisto has been a traitor this entire time, and joins forces with Halsey to take him down in order to save the rebellion. I know the actual canon here is that Callisto has secretly been a Nazi agent from the beginning, but I also like the headcanon that he was so incomprehensibly pissed at Halsey for refusing his ridiculously self-destructive offer that he just gave up, abandoned his entire cost, and switched sides. I personally think that's way funnier. As Callisto prepares to unleash his power, Halsey uses the orbital platform to fire missiles at him. General Maelstrom and the rebels then use the remaining weapons to destroy the generator. Callisto is defeated even though he manages to survive the explosion. Callisto flees to reinforce Hitler in his stronghold. Maelstrom becomes the new leader of the rebellion, and promises to support Halsey in all coming conflicts. Halsey decides to stay on Ganymede and serves under General Maelstrom. Admiral Halsey returns to Earth. I love it when the story contradicts what it said in the very last sentence. What a talented AI. Unbelievable. The United Nations decides to hold an official ceremony to honor the sacrifices made by the soldiers during Operation Overlord. The space one, of course. At the ceremony, General Almeida is awarded the Medal of Honor, but Halsey is not present to accept it. Instead, General Almeida's mistress, Elena, accepts the award on his behalf. I just love how Almeida can't accept his own reward and has to have Halsey accept it for him. And then when Halsey isn't at the ceremony, he just gets his mistress to do it. No, because how lazy do you have to be at that point? Just accept it yourself. Meanwhile, Prince Victor and a contingent of soldiers loyal to him attempt to break his father, Emperor Meade, out of prison. But unfortunately for Prince Victor, the guards don't believe that he is his father and they shoot him. Emperor Meade dies and Victor mourns. Victor immediately orders the guards to imprison themselves as punishment. What an absolutely embarrassing moment. The baffling stupidity of these soldiers, I tell you, really putting the L in royal guards. Obviously, there's been times both in fiction and in real history where a leader or an important person is betrayed and killed by their own guards, but I've never heard of a guard killing their leader accidentally. I almost want to believe it was on purpose and they just lied and played dumb when Prince Victor got mad, as if they genuinely believed they would somehow get out of this situation. It's like Starscream coming up with some ridiculously comically stupid plot to get rid of Negatron, carrying it out in front of everyone, and then shrugging his shoulders and saying, "Oops, I'm just a dumb fucking idiot. I can't believe I just did that." That's just, no, it never works. It's not the strat. Victor is now the heir to the throne of Ganymede and will ascend to become its emperor once Hitler is killed, or if he can defeat Hitler in a boxing match. Prince Victor vows to fight the Nazis until he either wins or dies trying. But first, he needs to train. Prince Victor trains with a man named Dickon. He teaches him all of the moves and techniques he learned from his father. The only way this could possibly be made better is if Hitler's trainer was named Dick Off, which would not only be a poetic contrast to the name of Victor's trainer, but also very relatable for neo-Nazis around the globe. Alas, it wasn't meant to be. Eventually, Victor is able to defeat Hitler in a boxing match. Hitler, however, uses his last bit of energy to activate an EMP weapon and render Ganymede's orbit useless. Now, Ganymede will never be able to return to the stars. The entire moon of Ganymede collapses into Jupiter, but not before the civilians evacuate to other nearby moons. The Empire of Ganymede still exists, but its homeland has been destroyed. I can't fucking get over how NovelAI keeps giving the Nazis random access to super powerful weapons to spice up the story, because if you'll remember in Rise of the Space Nazis, which comes before this, they were given a gravity beam, and now they have EMP weapons that can destroy celestial orbits. What's next? Luftwaffe planes firing out fucking stars? Galaxy guns? A goddamn black hole bazooka? Jesus Christ. There is one more chapter left in this series. It will start with Princess Diana returning home to Earth with Admiral Halsey. They will come back to find the Nazis having already conquered America. They will learn that Hitler has contacted the world leaders and convinced them to join him in his conquest of the whole galaxy. The United States government has decided to surrender after realizing that they are unable to compete with the Nazis' superior military. Meanwhile, the Nazis have established themselves as supreme rulers on Earth. I swear to God, NovelAI keeps licking those disgusting, grimy Nazi boots for whatever reason. It just constantly awards them victories. I turn away for 1 second and Hitler is suddenly God Emperor of the entire human civilization. It's like the collective wet dream of half the Hearts of Iron player base. Holy shit. However, not every country has bowed down to them. Although Vladimir Putin has passed away, with the news reporting that he shot himself in the back of the head with a hunting rifle 3 times and fell down his stairs into a pool of acid, the Russian government has since been cooped by a vehemently pro-democracy and anti-Nazi faction. The new president of Russia, Nikolai Sabatov, is determined to stand against the Nazis and shelters Halsey and Diana. He also helps them find a way to secretly contact General Almeida, who is currently fighting the Nazis on Mars. Honestly, my first thought when I read that was this one Doom cover that goes incredibly hard, and now I'm picturing General Almeida in this position in my head, and it's fucking awesome. What a crowd pleaser. Halsey is shocked to see that Almeida is alive. She had assumed by now he either would have passed away from his terminal ligma or died in battle against the Nazis. But it seems like Almeida is still very much alive. While Halsey and Diana are communicating with General Almeida, they also learn that Princess Diana is pregnant with his child. Halsey is surprised to hear this. After all, Diana has never even met him yet. What a mind-blowing reveal, an utterly flabbergasting subversion of expectations so masterful it could make Ryan Johnson cry tears of joy.
Now I hope you're prepared, because we're about to read the most insane exposition dump you've ever read. However, Diana explains to Halsey that she and General Almeida are soulmates. When they were both young girls, they both used to play with an old telescope. It was an antique that belonged to their grandfather. But one day, Diana found herself falling in love with the telescope. She became obsessed with it and spent hours staring through it, hoping to see whatever was on the other side. One day, she did indeed see something on the other side, although she didn't know what it was. It seemed like it was a person, but the person turned out to be a man wearing a black robe and a mask. He told Diana that she couldn't have the telescope any longer and to put it away. Diana complied, but she continued to stare at the telescope anyway. Years later, both of them went on to study astronomy. Diana took over her grandfather's telescope, while Almeida found a similar one that wasn't broken. They discovered that the telescope actually belonged to a man named Dr. Arno Dorian, the brother of General Callisto. Dorian had gone to the stars and he was looking for the last piece of the puzzle, which is how the universe began. But he never came back. No one knew what happened to him, and everyone assumed he was dead. Anyway, it turns out that Diana became pregnant with Almeida's child shortly before the royal family faked her death and the Nazis took her hostage. The Nazis froze her in carbonite and only recently released her. And now she's pregnant with the child of a man she barely knows and has never met. If you thought none of that made any sense, I promise it did. You're just a small-brained, smooth-brained dolt. You clearly just can't understand accurately the narrative glory of Reign of the Space Nazis. Shame on you, you pitiful casual consumer. Shame on you. Halsey can hardly believe what she's hearing. She thinks that this is all too strange and asks Diana if she's sure about this story. Diana insists that she's telling the truth. Halsey believes her, but she still thinks it's all very strange. Meanwhile, no one has heard from Hitler in a while. After losing his second boxing match to Prince Victor of Ganymede, Hitler detonated an EMP wiping out large swaths of the empire and escaped. Victor, now Emperor of Ganymede since he beat Hitler in the boxing match, sends his troops to hunt Hitler down. Victor also reaches out to General Maelstrom and the rebels. Victor strikes a deal with the rebels, promising that he will reduce his power to be purely ceremonial and allow Ganymede to become a republic after the war is won. This will prevent future clashes between Victor's forces and the rebels. In return, the rebels agree to work with Victor against the Nazis. And of course, Halsey is still on Earth. The United Nations has completely surrendered to the Nazis. Even the American president has been captured and imprisoned. Very few countries still fight on. I love how the AI just keeps reminding me that yes, in fact, the Nazis own the world, as if I hadn't figured that out already. As if I'm just a fool. Oh golly gee, I didn't notice that the first 100 times you pointed it out. Thank you, NovelAI. Very cool. Russia, where Halsey remains sheltered, is fighting with all their might. Switzerland, which has up until this point remained neutral in the conflict, has effectively transformed itself into a walled fortress to block off the entire outside world. Switzerland has avoided the carnage of the war. They have kept their borders closed and only let in refugees who are fleeing the war. Luxembourg, with its strong military, is another one of Earth's last few holdouts. Their current Prime Minister, Lux M. Burger, orders a military operation to liberate France. Luxembourg's armies march into occupied France en masse, joining forces with local French resistance fighters and causing as much damage to the Nazis as they can. Meanwhile, in America, the Nazis continue to consolidate their control and build up their military. They have created a new organization called the Third Reich Party, TRP, and they are using it to spread propaganda and brainwash people to their way of thinking. TRP members go around to different regions preaching about how the world should be ruled by one dictator and that people should live under strict rules and regulations. If you disobey these laws, you will be punished accordingly and harshly. At one TRP presentation, a member of the audience waits for the speaker to conclude his speech, then stands up and shows him a poster with the nerd emoji drawn on it to make fun of him. The speaker is so offended that he tries to shoot the man, but his gun runs out of bullets. The guy then grabs the microphone and begins to rant about how people need to be obedient to the law, and that he will punish anyone who doesn't follow it. Because the speaker's gun malfunctioned, the audience members decide to take the opportunity and run onto the stage, where they surround the speaker and force him to watch the Star Wars Christmas special. Truly a fate worse than death. Meanwhile, Halsey contacts General Almeida. He is training for his upcoming boxing match against Hitler. Almeida tells Halsey that he has developed a powerful punch that will destroy Hitler's arm. We have finally fucking done it. We've reached regular show levels of power scaling. Almeida is preparing a punch so strong it will destroy Hitler's entire arm, but somehow not kill him. Absolutely brilliant. I think this was the solution we all needed. The question is though, will this succeed? For the answer, we're gonna have to wait a little longer. The final installment, fall of the space Nazis is soon to come, to wrap up this epic and amazingly compelling trilogy. Stay tuned, everyone, it's gonna be insane.
The Nazis, having conquered Jupiter and obliterated the moon of Ganymede, have now conquered almost all of Earth, with only a few countries such as Russia and Luxembourg continuing to fight. It's up to Admiral Halsey and General Almeida of Earth, along with Princess Diana, to find a way to take down Hitler once and for all. Yes, Princess Diana is in the story, don't ask questions, just watch my previous videos. Emperor Victor of Ganymede and General Maelstrom of the Ganymede Liberation Army are also helping. The Allies must make their move soon before they're completely overrun by the Nazis. Meanwhile, on Venus. Now that you mention it, I have been feeling kind of weak lately, said the Empress Dowager, sitting in her throne room. The other members of the imperial court were gathered around her. They had come to discuss what needed to be done about the current situation. Everyone was worried about her, but she didn't want them to know that she was secretly pregnant. Every time, these AI narrative tool generator things, you know, they always do this. They make characters pregnant out of nowhere. It's such a weird trend. It's not the writer's barely disguised fetish, but I guess it's the programmer's barely disguised fetish? I don't even know. At that moment, the forces of Ganymede, led by Emperor Victor and General Maelstrom, landed on Venus and made their way to the Imperial Court, asking them for assistance against the Nazis. "We appreciate your concern, Your Majesty," said the Empress, "but we should not interfere with the affairs of another country." "But our people are being killed," cried out the Emperor. "They have already lost countless lives during their conquest of Jupiter and Ganymede. If they are so eager to die again, then let them do so in their own land," replied the Empress. Victor and Maelstrom were disappointed, but just then, Victor got an idea. "Now, guys, you gotta listen, okay? I have some really good advice for you. Whenever you're in a political conflict of any kind, the answer is always arranged marriage. And this generator damn well knows that. Perhaps I will offer you my hand in marriage, Empress Dowager," he suggested. "The combined might of Ganymede and Venus would lead to prosperity and progress for all our people. I offer this in exchange for your help against the Nazis." The Empress turned pale at his proposal, but she knew she could never refuse him. She saw no choice but to accept. Emperor Victor, you know, he's got that riz. It's just part of his character, you know? "Very well," she said. "Thank you," said Victor. With that, the two sides agreed to join forces. Meanwhile, on Earth, the Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Luxemburger, has gathered a meeting between the leaders of the last bastions of freedom in the world. This meeting consists of Berger, Russian President Nikolai Sabatov, Admiral Halsey, and General Almeida. They debate on what the best strategy to defeat the Nazis will be. "If we attack the Nazis head-on, they'll surely win," said Berger. "Then we must find a way to weaken their army," suggested Halsey. "I think I know how," said Almeida. "I have a plan that may work. I'm going to send the troops of Luxembourg and Russia to ambush the Nazis near Mars. Meanwhile, we must prepare ourselves here on Earth." "Do you really think this is the right course of action?" asked Sabatov. "Yes. The Nazis are putting a lot of effort into conquering Mars, which means they're expecting us to try and stop them there. But if we do, then their focus will be diverted from Earth. We can attack them here instead." "That sounds like a good plan to me," said Almeida. "And that's funny because he's responding to his own plan!" "Then let us begin planning immediately," said Sabatov. On Ganymede, the war continues to rage. The Luftwaffe attempts to bomb the forces of Emperor Victor and General Maelstrom, but since the Luftwaffe is terrible, this attempt fails and the forces of Ganymede stand strong. Meanwhile, the forces of Venus have successfully captured Berlin, and the Nazi flag has been lowered over the Reichstag. You can just tell how amazing this AI is at simulating wars because the very first thing that happens is the capital of the enemy country gets taken instantly. Also very consistent with real life how the Luftwaffe is trash, you know? They're basically flying toilets, but actually no, that would be an insult to flying toilets. "Good job, everyone," said President Sabatov. "What shall we do next?" The freedom fighters quickly realized that just because Berlin has been captured does not mean the Nazis have been defeated. Their capital switches to Hamburg. "We must take the fight to where they are weakest," shouted Maelstrom. The other members of the resistance agree. "So what exactly are you proposing we do?" asked Sabatov. "We need to capture their factories on Earth and Mars," declared Maelstrom. "You mean the factories that produce the weapons and machines they use to conquer other planets? The factories that build the factories that produce the weapons and machines they use to conquer other planets?" asked Sabatov. "Yes, that's precisely what I'm saying," said Maelstrom. Sabatov sighs in exasperation. "Why don't we just destroy those factories ourselves?"
Because taking them back from the Nazis would be too easy, replied Maelstrom. Genius. Absolute practical genius right here. Just amazing planning. Also, I like how he says up here that they should capture the factories, and then down here says no, because that would be too easy. Like, consistent plan you got there, buddy. And why is that? Asks Sabatov. Maelstrom turns away from him and looks off into space, deep in thought. How about this? Said President Sabatov. Instead of trying to take back Earth and Mars, how about we focus on defending Jupiter and Ganymede? If we keep their attention focused on those two planets, they won't have time to worry about Earth. That would be ideal, said Maelstrom. But unfortunately, the Nazis have managed to seize control of the moon of Jupiter. Which one? There's like 70, right? President Sabatov groans. Well, that's just great. So what should we do about that? We must defend it, said Maelstrom. Halsey points out that Hitler is the main unifying figure of the German Reich, and that if he is assassinated, a massive blow will be dealt to the Nazis. But Maelstrom doesn't see that as a possibility. Hitler has absolute power over the Nazis, he explains. He could assassinate any of us who tried to kill him. That's when Prime Minister Berger of Luxembourg reveals that he has contacts with a German resistance group who seeks to restore the German Republic and oust the Nazis. This resistance group is led by none other than Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. While he was in fact born in Austria, he is still determined to reclaim Germany from the Nazis. He had contacted Berger after seeing how the Germans had fallen to the Nazis in the 1940s. I feel like the timeline's a little bit off there. Wasn't it like a whole decade earlier? Also, was Arnold even born back then? I don't know. Berger realized that this man was someone he needed to be friends with. Arnold Schwarzenegger? Really? Asked Halsey. Isn't he a total wimp? Oh, she's never watched an Arnold film in her life, has she? Not at all, replied Berger. He's a tough fighter. And he's also an actor, so I've seen him fight in films. The rest of the resistance agrees with Berger. The forces of Luxembourg team up with the German resistance to deal blows to the Nazis at their own home base. Meanwhile, the remaining forces of Earth, Ganymede, and Venus travel to Jupiter to strike at the Nazis there. General Almeida is leading the forces of Earth. Since the Nazis control the moon of Jupiter, they are able to launch attacks at Earth, while staying safe behind their own shield. The forces of Earth are unable to counterattack against the Nazis on Jupiter so far. However, the technology of Venus is far superior, and thanks to their reinforcements, they are able to deal damage to the Nazis and prepare for a reconquest of Jupiter. Let's attack now, shouted General Almeida. Don't do it, General, said Maelstrom. The Nazis have the advantage on Jupiter. You must wait until we can support you. But the Nazis are attacking Earth too, said Almeida. Maelstrom points out that the Germans on Earth have to stay on Earth because they get caught by the Allied forces if they tried to leave. What? What? No, what? They control like half the solar system, what do you mean? Meanwhile, the Germans on Jupiter have nowhere left to run. We must strike back against the Nazis at the source of their strength, said Almeida. Maelstrom gives in. Very well, General. Do as you wish. Almeida deploys his forces on the surface of Jupiter and begins to attack the Nazis. Meanwhile, Princess Diana, in orbit above Jupiter, uses her powers to make sure the fleet stays hidden from radar. Yep, Princess Diana canonically has powers. Real. That is just a taste of how insane NovelAI can be. The Nazis are caught completely off guard. Almeida's forces have the immediate advantage. Quickly, Victor and Maelstrom send reinforcements. We're working on it, shouted Almeida. Meanwhile, the forces of Earth are doing much better than expected. They're slowly pushing the Nazis back and gaining ground. This isn't looking too bad, remarked General Almeida. Arnold Schwarzenegger single-handedly takes down an entire fortress of Nazi troops, recreating the climax of his movie Commando in real life. It is not a time to celebrate yet, said Maelstrom. The Nazis are still stronger than us. We're making progress though, said Almeida, and I'm getting pretty tired of this whole losing thing. Oh my god, they've got Almeida making Marvel quips! No! Halsey reminds Almeida of his upcoming boxing match with Hitler, and the secret move that could destroy his arm. Almeida claims he's still going to use it, but it might kill him in the process since it will speed up his terminal ligma. Halsey asks him to wait until after the fight to use it. As the battle continues, the Nazis begin to fall apart. More and more people on Earth are rising up against the Nazis, and the sheer overwhelming might of the Allies is too much for them. Eventually, the Nazi leadership is forced to retreat from Earth. After losing control of Earth, the Nazis turn their gaze back toward Jupiter. They believe they can retake the planet and win the war if they can just recapture it. However, even after their initial defeats, the forces of Venus continue to push forward, and the forces of Earth continue to hold the line. The Nazis are defeated once again, and retreat back to Earth and Mars. What? So they get kicked off Earth, then they fail to retake Jupiter, and then they just go back to Earth? How is that possible? They don't own Earth anymore. I guess their only base left is Mars. With the Nazis having retreated from Jupiter, it and all of its moons fall under control of the Empire of Ganymede. Emperor Victor, satisfied, makes arrangements with General Maelstrom to step down from absolute power and become only a ceremonial figure. The Empire of Ganymede officially becomes the Republic of Ganymede, and Maelstrom is elected by the people as its first president. The Nazi regime is completely falling apart everywhere, and its last fortress is in Hamburg, where Hitler resides. The time has almost come for the final boxing match between Hitler and Almeida. As Halsey watches the news on TV, because apparently she needs to do that, even though she's part of the war effort, she sees the news report of a bombing raid on the Reichstag. Then she hears the voice of Adolf Hitler. "I am still in power," he declares. That's so fucking funny, dude. Oh my god. Just the robotic way he says it. "Not for long," Halsey mutters to herself as she gets up, picks up a gun, and heads over to join the fight to defeat the Nazis for good. Oh my god, it's so funny. Help. Arnold Schwarzenegger and the German rebels, aided by the forces of Luxembourg, Russia, and all the other freedom fighters from various countries, surround Hamburg and prepare for the final battle. No, I did not misspell fighters. No, sir. No, I would never do that. I can't believe you would suggest that. Never in my life. All right, this is it, shouted Schwarzenegger. "We're going to take down the Nazis once and for all. Let's go." "Right behind you," said Halsey, following him into the fray. I said that like Spy TF2 from Meet the Spy. The Nazis inside the city are taken completely by surprise. Their defenses are weak and easily broken through. With some help from Princess Diana, Arnold Schwarzenegger is able to sneak into Hitler's headquarters and find him hiding in a secret underground bunker. Here is my favorite part, the exposition I came up with on the spot, randomly. It turns out there's a time machine in Hitler's bunker. Hitler explains that the way he and the Nazis came back in the first place was because he time traveled from the 1940s to the modern day using this machine. He then had a clone of his fake his death. Arnold Schwarzenegger beats Hitler nearly to death after hearing this explanation, but Hitler uses his secret weapon, the Nazi gravity beam, to propel Schwarzenegger out of the bunker. It's up to the resistance to stop Hitler from using the time machine again and carrying on the cycle of defeat and return. This is it, guys. This is it. The final battle. This is what we've all been waiting for. "Damn it!" shouted Arnold. "Where did he go?" Halsey pulls a lever in the time machine, causing it to explode. The gravity beam is destroyed and the Nazis are trapped in the bunker forever. Whoa! Let's go! Let's go! However, it is not over yet. The time has finally come for General Almeida to challenge Hitler to a final boxing match, where he will use his secret move to destroy Hitler's arm. Almeida challenges Hitler to the match once and for all. "How dare you challenge me?" bellowed Hitler, infuriated. "I am the Führer. I cannot lose to anyone." "Oh, really?" asked Almeida. "Then why are you afraid?" "Because it will kill me!" screamed Hitler. "I will die!" That's so fucking funny, dude. Oh my god. How did the AI come up with that? Remind me to use this joke in the future. "Too bad," said Almeida, "but you'll have plenty of time to think about it before the end." Millions of people, including Halsey, Victor, Maelstrom, Sabatov, Schwarzenegger, Berger, and Empress Dowager of Venus, watch live as the boxing match begins. Almeida is determined to win at all costs. He does not want the Nazis to win one more round. At last, it comes down to the final punch. Almeida fires a deadly punch at Hitler. This destroys Hitler's arm, causing him to bleed out and die as he wails in pain. Almeida, however, is now succumbing to his terminal ligma, and the resistance leaders join him on his deathbed. "Thank you, Almeida," said Maelstrom. "And thank you, everyone else," replied Almeida. Victor, Maelstrom, Sabatov, Schwarzenegger, and Halsey stand together. Almeida passes away from the ligma, but the universe has been saved. The United Nations is re-established, and the Republic of Ganymede and Venus are now both prosperous following the marriage of Emperor Victor and Empress Dowager, who actually did fall in love. The Nazis have fallen to defeat, and the world can finally breathe a sigh of relief. 1 second, let me just charge it up. "So that's the story of the Resistance," said Halsey many years later, telling the tale to Almeida's 2 children, one born from his wife Elena and one born from Princess Diana. Yes, it is indeed canon to the Space Nazis lore that Princess Diana and Almeida had a child. Check out my second video for more information. The children have never met their father, but they have been told many times of his courage and sacrifice. The United States, which is still investigating Mars for some reason, finally finds the rotted corpse of Elon Musk, decades after he was initially killed by the Martian robots. "What was that?" asked Almeida's son, hearing this on the news. "I don't know," replied Halsey. Probably nothing important. Yeah, said his daughter. I guess not. And with that, the story of the space Nazis finally ended. I gotta say, it's emotional. It's emotional to finally be at the end after all this time. It's really something. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to this grand Shakespearean epic. This masterful tale. Nothing will ever replace it. Nothing. This must win the 2024 Oscars, mark my words. If it does, it will be the best Oscars win since, the Oscars in 2023, because Everything Everywhere All at Once was amazing. But, it will still be really good. So I want everyone to go onto social media right now and spam the Oscars and tell them that the Space Nazis story needs to be nominated and win. Mark my words. Okay, obviously I'm joking. Don't actually do that. Please don't. You're an idiot if you do. But seriously, guys, thank you so much for watching. This was a hilarious series to record, a hilarious story to write. Well, I guess I didn't really write it because the AI helped me with a lot, but you know, I wrote part of it. That counts, right? I had an incredible amount of fun, and I'm glad you guys stuck with me the whole time, and I will be making a movie of all 3 of these parts combined into one, so stay tuned. Anyway, make sure to like and subscribe, and check out my later content once it drops, and I'll see you later. Goodbye!